What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Kiss Capades podcast, and today I have a very special guest and good friend of mine. I'll just let him introduce himself first of all before I just give you more details and everything. Just introduce yourself and then tell people what you do, maybe just briefly.
I'm Sannie Sanford, food photographer based in Nairobi.
Food photographer. I see that's something that's very new in the industry.
Yeah.
And first of all, do you want us to do the podcast in English or Swahili?
Any.
Hapana, here's the thing. I'll tell you about, if we do it in Swahili, you know what that means. It means I'll have to go and put subtitles on my YouTube.
Sawa.
And nobody's doing that bullshit.
English.
I don't have time for that.
In short, you're saying we'll do it in English.
Yes, let's do it in English.
Fine.
Because we are like, I have a wide audience, and let's just say that we can always go back to Swahili. We can bounce on off kidogo. Because I know people will be asking like, why did you guys start talking in Nini and now, I don't understand. Can you translate it for me?
Yeah, subtitles.
So subtitles I can't. Yeah, yes, I can. Impossible. So we'll just do it in English. So Sannie San is, can I say like now an established like food photographer in the city?
Yes.
And you're comfortable doing it like as your job, like you're comfortable doing or making a living with it.
Totally.
That's very it's not new. You don't think it's something that's new in the industry?
No, before I got to food photography, there were people already doing it. And that was...
But for magazines or just like, like the way now you can do it like freelance and actually get calls from
for
clients?
magazines. Back in 2012, 2013, 2014, I know of a friend who was
food photographer already by then?
Food photographer, yes.
In Kenya?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with this. Before we just start on details on what you do for a living, what was like your dream job when you're growing up? Or maybe your parents were like, expecting, Sannie San. We can see Sannie San being like a teacher, a math professor,
scientist,
pilot, a lawyer, or a news anchor. Like what did you want to do when you're growing up before like your mind switched to whatever like right now you're currently doing? Because I'm sure like any other artist or photographer, there's always a story of like, I did this job. But what did you want to do when you're growing up?
Growing up, at first, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Lawyer?
Yes. Because my dad was a lawyer. And growing up, I used to look at
what he's doing,
how he runs his business. And I was like, and to be that.
Because he's your mentor, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wake up, see him prepare,
what he's doing.
You see him prepare to go to court, comes back, see him travel. He gets to travel because of his career, and I was like, yes,
this is something.
I want a career that makes me look sharp in tie, coat, drive a fancy car.
I know what you're talking about.
So, at first, I shattered. Everything was off. My eyes was on being a lawyer.
Lawyer. And is that what like your parents also wanted you to do, or did they have like a different? Like how parents normally like just plan the future for you. Like, okay, so I won't be a lawyer, but we've planned. We think this can be good for you.
The most interesting thing was my parents never pushed me to a certain career. They were just like, get the education. With a good education,
can figure
it drives you to a particular
career path.
Yeah, based on your interests. So with that, with growing up, things change. You start noticing small details. You start
interest in
interest
some things.
in some things and picking interest in some things. So then, growing up, our grandparents had cameras. Our fathers had cameras.
Mine didn't. My grandparents didn't have cameras.
Never used to be taken to
My
the
grandparents.
studios.
No, in Western, I don't think we had like a lot of those.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it used to be like the rich families now had cameras though.
but there were studios in every.
But the studios were
yeah.
there. The studios were there. So now that's when like going to Shags and in December.
Yeah.
That's when like I know people used to go and take like Christmas pictures and stuff. But it just used to look like so far-fetched, yani like maze owning before you ever own a camera, nini. Just seems it was just a dream, yani.
Yeah.
And it were those things like you can't even touch if your parent had them.
Yes.
How do you touch your parents' camera?
I remember when my dad.
Did your dad have a camera?
Yeah, my dad had a camera, and he used to take photos of us, but we were not allowed to touch it.
Never, ever. Never.
It was his property, not the family's. The photo was the family's property, but the camera was his property.
His property. You don't touch it.
Exactly.
So now